Welcome back to Reynolds Family Farms, guys. Today I kind of want to go over some of the basic beekeeping equipment that you need to get into beekeeping. As we're getting into spring here, I have sugar water prepping, I got pollen patties on order, I got everything kind of getting ready to come into full season here. And just kind of want to go over equipment with you guys, what I have, what I use, and what someone that's looking to get into it should look at having with them. First thing I'm going to start off with is the stuff I take into the bee yard. Always have my jacket. I don't like full suit, I just don't like the restrictiveness of it, but I do wear a jacket, and a pair of long gloves is a must as well. The other thing that I will take into the bee yard is a hive tool. Most of the time I will actually take two with me. I have a couple more on order. They get lost, misplaced, left in this truck, left on the four-wheeler, you know, different places for them, and you never have two, so I always order a couple every year. But I always like to have two on me. They're good for pulling up frames, to scraping burr comb, to scraping propolis off the top of frame rails and stuff like that. They're also good for going in and looking for when you get beetles and stuff. You can kill beetles with them pretty easy too. The other thing I carry is my smoker, which also leads me into this bucket here. This bucket is a bucket of pine shavings. I fire my smoker with pine shavings. So what I do is just light it up and keep it full of pine shavings, and like to keep a good supply of pine shavings on me as I'm in the yard. That being said, I'm also going to carry a lighter with me, light up the smoker. You know, you got to have a way of getting fire, and that's my preferred method. Is a nice little lighter, easy to carry, put in your pocket. If you burn out, you can always relight pretty easy then. Which gets us through kind of the basics of what I carry every day in the bee yard. There's only one more thing I carry in the bee yard every day, and that is a set of queen marking tool and paint markers for marking queens. As you get queen overturn in some hives, you'll need to remark queens, or if you've missed a not marked hive or something, you find the queen, she isn't marked. It's always a good idea to have them there so you can mark them, make them a little bit easier to find the next time. Something I've always carried with me. It's not a bad idea to have one with you all the time. Next thing I want to get into is how I set up my hives between bodies and all the parts of the hive. So when I originally started with double deeps for brood chambers, and decided that that wasn't the way I wanted to go. It's a little bit harder to transport hives. It makes it more equipment intensive, requires more money to maintain the hives and build more hives. So what I went to now is I've went to a single deep brood chamber with all medium supers on top. And I've also went to, instead of telescoping lids, migratory lids. I do have some telescoping lids for late winter just sugar feeds. If I need to put some sugar on top of a hive, I'll put an inner cover in, dump some sugar on top of it, and then put the outer cover on. But I do run primarily migratory covers. I just find that with the transition I'm making from normal bases to pallets, it's a lot easier to get these on and off than on the pallet than they are with an inner and outer cover. So with that being said, we'll kind of go over the extent of the rest of the hive. Basically, my honey supers are all medium boxes. They're a little bit lighter. They run about 50 pounds fully loaded with honey. I'm not a big guy, so I don't like the extreme weight of a deep super full of honey. I run 10 frame, and I like how the 10 frame works out for me. Just the size and weight is perfect for me on a medium super for honey. The deep gives you a good sized brood chamber with the extra 2 frames over an 8 frame setup, and all around I've had good luck with 10 frame setups. Next we'll go into the queen excluder. this one needs cleaned up before we put it back in the hive this year, but I run all metal queen excluders. I just like longevity. A lot of this equipment you're seeing here is on the edge of getting replaced. It's all quite a few years old now, and it's getting worn, starting to rot in some places and stuff. So, but I like to run all metal queen excluders. I find that they last multiple years, and you bend them, you run them back over with the pickup, and they're flat again. It's a good, easy portion to keep your queen down in the brood box, and I've just had a great luck with the all metal queen excluders. Finally, we get down to my deep box. This is going to be my brood chamber. This year I'm switching a lot of the way I manage my brood nest. I am going to a 9-frame setup, with one frame being an internal feeder, possibly on my new hives. My old hives I'm going to leave as a 10-frame setup and top feed them like I always have. Basically, I like the 10-frame for the brood nest space. It gives you a nice ability to do single deeps, which are easier to transport. You don't have to worry about the hive coming apart in the middle and stuff when you're transporting them. So single deep brood colonies are the way I'm really enjoying running my bees. These are all finger jointed boxes. I'm thinking about, when I build my boxes this time, trying just some lap joints and stuff like that. Make them a little bit easier to build, a little bit less cut time on them, and see if I can't get the same strength and rigidity out of the box. Because at the end of the day, I replace my boxes about every 4 years anyway, so it's just kind of a constant of cycling them through. Occasionally, I'll place them a little bit further out, just depends on the condition they're in. I do like to try and paint them at least every other year, so if any of these are going to go back into circulation this year, I will still have to paint them. I just use White Kills Original on the outsides only. It gives it a good layer protection against the weather and the elements. It also leaves it that nice stereotypical white that a lot of beehives are. As far as frames go, I like to use an all wood frame. These are some wedge top bars. I was given these by a guy that was getting out of beekeeping, and I've just kind of continued to use them. Personally, all my new deep frames are going just to be grooved top bars and not the wedge top bars. The groove with plasticell foundation is probably my favorite setup when building frames. It makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to put extra nails in them. Like every one of these wedge top bars, I add an extra 3 nails across that wedge, even though I never take it off, just to keep it nice and solid, keep that foundation in there. This is also some foundation he gave me. It's just a thin, like saran plastic in between 2 layers of wax with metal clips on the ends. It works, definitely works. I just am working on switching all of that to plasticell. I like the plasticell foundation. It's more rigid, more sturdy. I can take the wax off if I have a bad frame, and then recoat it with brand new wax, and it always ends up working out for me really well. So the plasticells where I'm turning towards, all my deep boxes are now in plasticell, and the goal is once I use up the rest of these frames and foundation, I'm going to go ahead and switch to plasticell in my mediums as well. The other new thing I'm doing this year is in the brood nests, I'm going to be running black plasticell instead of the yellow. I think that it'll be a little bit easier to see eggs and larvae and stuff on the black plasticell versus the yellow. And then when I go and start swapping over my mediums to plasticell, I'm going to go to yellow with those for the honey supers, just to kind of differentiate, because I have thought about it, and there is a point that I kind of want to switch to deep honey supers, because there is a little bit of cost savings and a little bit more efficiency out of the hive with the deep honey supers. So I'm going to probably end up doing that at some point. But just kind of wanted to show you what I got. Also, when I build new frames, I mark all of mine. These are all marked with a red dot, as are all of them with the non-plasticell foundation in them, because I want to swap everything to plasticell. That way, once I have excess frames and excess plasticell, I can go ahead and swap everything and get rid of these. Probably will end up selling those as drawn cone frames, and that'll just be the way I end up getting rid of those. There's no point in getting rid of a frame if it's not terrible, so unless I get some varroa or hive beetles or wax moths that just cause extreme damage, I'm not going to remove those frames and just burn them or anything like that. I like to utilize the most out of them. And there's a lot of new beekeepers that can't afford to buy brand new equipment, so I like to then sell some of my used equipment back to them to let them get in and grow in their hobby of beekeeping. Here in the shop, this is just a tub I keep. Has some of my stuff, all my frame parts and stuff. Here's an example of that plasticell foundation I'm using on my deeps. It's just a thicker plastic, more rigid. I mean, you can sit there and shake it and it's not gonna break on you. Definitely been one of my favorite swaps I've made in my deep boxes. Makes it a little bit easier when going through and scraping wax off of old frames and stuff. You don't have to worry too much more about the foundation, whereas the other ones you'll rip right through it. And then I think that's about all I got. I think what all we got left is we're going to start getting into the bee yard probably the first or second week of February. Getting sugar water and pollen patties put on them, do kind of quick basic hive inspection, make sure that they have the food coming into the spring that they need to make it through the rest of the winter. And then we're also going to be looking at getting some new hives this year. I got a plan for at least 2 more new hives. I'd like to add more, but we'll just have to see where it goes. Currently I'm working on a video for sugar water and how to make it. I'm going to have a frame assembly video because I need to finish making my deep frames. And then we'll probably have one inventory video. With that being said, those videos will come into bee season, being that bee season is like next week. So I'm going to get those recorded for you guys, but I'm going to space out how those come out. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and come back and stay tuned with the buzz.